What's up, everybody? This week I've been driving the 2025 Mazda CX-70 plug-in hybrid. So I recently just spent a week with the Turbo S version, really liked it. Again, cliff notes here, these drive the same as a CX-90 basically, so there's not going to be a whole lot different here, but like I mentioned in my original CX-70 review, they did tweak the transmission tuning, the throttle tuning, the steering, all these things compared to the CX-90 last year in order to make the CX-70 a little bit easier to live with and just improve those inputs just a little bit, and those things will carry over to the 2025 model year of the CX-90 as well. And I cover all that stuff more in my full review of the CX-70, which I'll add at the end of this one as an end card if you're wanting to hear my full analysis and comparison of how the plug-in hybrid compares to the Turbo S version and all that. But as far as this video, living with this vehicle for a week, well, I didn't do an exact range test again like I did last year in CX-90 because I'm expecting it to again be basically the same, but I will say that whenever the car was fully charged up, it was telling me 35 miles of range. I know in reality last year in the CX-90 I got 31 miles in my range test. Those all seem pretty accurate. It seems like, at least in my driving, you can hit something above 30. Your mileage, of course, will vary depending on how you drive, where you drive, the conditions, all that kind of stuff. So it's really hard to say. That also goes the same for the fuel economy. It's going to come down to how much you plug this in, how much you drive electrically, and work on that component, and how much you just phone it in with having the gas going there. Or if you're doing longer distance driving, you can't keep your driving under 30 miles a day or whatever, understandably. So it's just going to all depend there. So but these still are going to be super efficient with naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine that still, like I said again last year with CX-90, feels nice and punchy here with the electric boost that you still have. Even with a dead battery, it still gives you an electric punch to help out the gas engine, and it never felt slow. I mean, you have basically the same performance numbers as that inline-six turbo version, which is all really impressive. And as far as that new transmission tuning here, getting to try it out now in the plug-in hybrid for a full week, I'm really happy with it. It is so great that they fixed it so quickly, and in my mind, it's fixed all of my complaints that I had last year with the CX-90 for the plug-in hybrid and the gas version. But since we're talking about plug-in hybrid here in particular, I know last year that was a little smoother than the turbo version as far as the transmission, but even still, I mean, they did a really nice job of smoothing over this transmission for the plug-in hybrid as well, so that I had no complaints with the roughness. There was the occasional cold start, first few little accelerations pulling out of the neighborhood where it wasn't buttery smooth. That is about the most complaining I can do about this transmission now, though. It is pretty much flawless at this point, and that was my one big reservation holding me back from recommending the CX-90 and the CX-70 here by extension. But now that that has been fixed, this is right up there with the Grand Highlander as far as my favorite large mid-size SUV. But so I'm just really happy to have no reservations now as far as recommending the CX-90 and CX-70. These 2025s are definitely a huge improvement and really good option now, and I really am happy that I can say that because I really liked everything else about this vehicle, and now I'm happy I don't have any holdups as far as that transmission. The one thing though that I still don't love, it's certainly not a deal breaker or even really a con in my opinion, it's just a difference, and that is that the brake pedal got a lot touchier here compared to last year in the CX-90 plug-in hybrid. And I think they just again were playing around with the tuning and stuff. What I will say is it still is perfectly blended with the regen, so you never really tell when it's doing regen braking, so that's great, and that's something that is worth praising, because a lot of companies still struggle to do smooth regen braking. Even high-end luxury companies, the Mercedes EQS SUV, over $100,000, that thing still didn't have good feeling brakes. So Mazda really deserves a pat on the back for their engineers and the way they tuned this, but it just means that the brake pedal's a lot touchier now with the way they chose to set it up for 2025. And so to me, it's just a little harder to be smooth with the brakes. Now, it's just a learning curve. You can get used to it just fine, and I'll say these brakes feel very similar to any BMW brake setup. People drive around in millions of BMWs every day and don't have any complaints. So it's just something you have to learn, but it's just going to be a little bit of a switch if you're used to Mazda's typical extra muscle that's required to use the brakes in those in the past. That's not really the case here in this anymore, but still totally fine. Something I would be fine to live with given all the other amazing perks here of the CX-70 and the CX-90. Another thing that I'm happy to report on that's improved over last year is the wireless Apple CarPlay integration. So still works the same as last year, but last year there was a couple of times where it was a little buggier and glitchier and didn't work flawlessly. And this week that I've had with this and also with the Turbo S, flawless usage of CarPlay here. Worked totally fine, never had a glitch or hiccup whatsoever. So really happy they improved that as well. But there is one new little annoyance with this infotainment system, and that's for 2025. The CX-70 is the first to introduce the built-in Amazon Alexa feature that you have here in this. And thankfully it didn't come on that time, but I've been triggering Alexa a bunch of different, there it is, of course I said Alexa, so it's working properly right now. But I was triggering it a bunch this week when I wasn't even saying that word, that trigger word. So I'd be jamming out to my favorite song or something, and I'd be having a conversation maybe at the same time with my wife or something, and then all of a sudden it comes on with Alexa and that dims the volume, and then it's just this minor little annoyance. You can turn Alexa off, I'm sure, as well if you don't want it, but that's one little minor nitpick there, I will say. One other little nitpick, which I'm sure is just specific to this vehicle in particular and is something that's easily fixable, but there was a rattle by the rear driver's side door, and it only happened when the gas engine was on. So we've been driving in electric mode this whole time, by the way, and I mean it's so quiet and refined. But if we go ahead and manually kick on the gas engine here for the recharge mode, and we'll see if we can get the rattle to happen. It's been pretty consistent. I'm sure there's just one piece that's, yeah, you can probably hear it. There's something just in that door or something that's probably rattling. But, I would just say make sure we take one of these for a test drive. Make sure there's no rattles in it so you have a good start to your ownership experience. But I'm sure that's, again, something very easy to fix. But funny enough, there was a rattle last year in the CX-90 plug-in hybrid. That was more of a transmission-based rattle, it seemed. There's none of that here, but we have a new rattle instead. So the elusive rattle in the new Mazda CX-70 and CX-90, again, hopefully they're just early pre-production one-off issues or something. But just want to make you aware so you can keep an eye out for that on the test drive. But yeah, it's really fun. This engine sounds great, and then having the electric boost come in, and it tells you on the dash that it's giving you that, but you can feel it too, that extra little push that you weren't expecting out of this engine that it gives you with the electric thing, and it's really great. I still stand by my statement that the plug-in hybrid is the way to go with these. I mean, now with the extra smoothness of the Turbo S, inline six, now they've smoothed out the transmission and stuff. It is still really great. I really love that one. But to me, the plug-in hybrid, it's so cool because no one else offers this in this segment, really, as far as especially the two-row stuff in particular. And so, it's so great that you have this option and have it, without having to go up for these super expensive, super fast luxury SUVs that do offer that, but they're all 80 grand and up. And speaking of pricing and competitors and all that, I won't get into all that because I already went into that in great length in my CX-70 review. You can go watch that again if you want to hear all my thoughts on the competitors like the Grand Cherokee 4xe and the Lexus RX plug-in hybrid. But there is one new thing that I've been noticing about the pricing of the CX-70 plug-in hybrid and even the CX-90 plug-in hybrid that is really helping to have what Mazda says is a 40% take rate currently on the plug-in hybrid variant of the CX-90, which I'm sure will extend probably to the CX-70 here as well. And that is that if you lease one of these, you get that federal tax credit of $7,500, and that knocks down the lease price of these really aggressively. And so just looking on Mazda's website this morning, again, pricing will change depending on when you're watching this video and all that, but as of right now, you can get a plug-in hybrid version of the CX-70 for about $160 less per month for a lease compared to the turbo version, which again has pretty much the same power, a little bit more horsepower in those, but not by much. And I mean, $160 a month is a big savings, but that's a really compelling thing, and I don't envision that tax credit changing much, at least for the rest of this year. And so if you're watching this here in 2024, definitely consider the plug-in hybrid just for the amount of savings you get there right off the price tag, and then the savings you'll get with gas most likely and all that as well. If you're not someone who must have a turbo 6-cylinder engine, I think plug-in hybrid is the easy choice, honestly, especially the way things are constructed right now with that incentive. So just one other thing to make you aware of, I think is really important, and I'm really happy that that is helping to boost this plug-in hybrid adoption, because I think, again, the plug-in hybrid is great. If you plug it in every night, you drastically reduce your emissions and your fuel costs and all that. And So yeah, overall, this plug-in hybrid is awesome, and now it's just up to other competitors in the mainstream segment to try and come out with something that actually competes with this. But in the meantime, Mazda's kind of got the field to itself, at least at this price point, basically. And it's not just really the only pick at this price range, but it's a fantastic pick with all the perks of these new Mazdas, and I just absolutely adore these things. If I needed something this big, this would probably be my pick. Again, especially because you can't get a plug-in hybrid with the Grand Highlander, which is my other favorite. So I'd say the Mazda would definitely be the way to go. But anyway, that's all of my thoughts here on this CX-70 plug-in hybrid. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Be sure to, again, go watch that full review if you want to hear all our thoughts on this vehicle and how it compares to the turbo version, and also to hear our thoughts on this interior. There's a whole in-depth interior review as well. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks to Mazda for providing me here with this vehicle to review for you guys, and take care.